Are you tired of always being told to play the highest skill ceiling champions and then wonder why you can't pilot them and then get stuck? What about a bunch of champions that are easy to play yet have high impact? Then you don't have to look any further because I got the best climbing champions just for you. But before we talk about those, let's talk about our questions of the day. What is the most effective way to farm golden experience in WildRift? Let me know in the comments below. We start with Nami. Nami is super easy to pilot and yet super powerful in what she does. She features sustain, high damage, playmaking capabilities, disengage and engage alike. So even if you are not that confident in your own ability to play, sitting back and utilizing your wave to get people CC'd as they're engaging into your team mostly suffices. But as you learn how to play the game in a better manner, you learn to understand that Nami's ultimate can be used as an engage tool as it grants your allies double the bonus of your passive movement speed if they run through your wave or your wave passes through them. The same applies obviously to all other abilities, but then it's just a normal buff and not double the value. With this in mind, you can also think about the certain combinations you can go for, which makes it super easy for Nami to have high impact. Why fish with your bubble if you can guarantee a hit with your ultimate ability to then bubble the enemy for a full CC chain? Or what about using your third ability's inbuilt slow to get the enemy into dodging everything and you just don't cast your bubble at all? You just keep on attacking them and force them to take more damage up until then you will eventually bubble later on. You basically apply pressure with your bodily presence and then force them into committing a mistake because they can't do anything else anymore. They're constantly trying to dodge your bubble anyway, even though you're not throwing it yet. It's always on their mind, and you want to play with this little trick to get the bubble afterwards. And even if you just auto-attack them, they have to think about this and you'll get an easy trade-in. Super nice. One thing though we have to talk about is the mana usage on Nami. Don't just spam your spells on cooldown. This is the biggest mistake any enchanter can make. Use your spell with purpose. Does your AD carry need all your spells to clear the wave? I don't think so. Does your AD carry need this and that all the time? Not necessarily, so stop wasting your mana, cause then you sit there without any mana left and you're forced to build a mana item which you don't really want. Now let's talk about one of the greatest champions to climb with in the AD carry role. It's Tristana. She's just a fan favorite, a Riot's favorite, and overall a champion that infinitely scales into the later stages of the game and can take over teamfight very easily. She has a reset nature with a second ability, features high DPS and also has the ability to deal AoE damage while being able to peel for herself and her teammates alike. So she combines many things on many levels which you can slowly grow into. And her laning phase isn't even bad. Many people say that Tristana has a very bad laning phase, but it's not really true. The moment she has access to all her spells and also her ultimate ability, she will one-shot you. If you don't have exhaust available or anything along those lines, she will literally just kill you by jumping on top of you. There's not much you can do about this. All the Tristana player has to understand is that her spells also apply stacks to her third ability, which means her second ability and her ultimate stack the bomb higher, and then she has even more burst damage. If you combine the full combo of using your second ability, your ultimate, and all those things onto your third ability's final explosion, then you see that the enemy will just instantly die on 50% to 0% just by having the bomb exploded and getting hit by the ultimate. But the secret cheat code that every Tristana player wants to have around her is Lulu or Tristana. Any type of those enchanters empowers Tristana by a lot because her range is already so enormous that she outranges most of the champions in the game, so she hits you while being unable to be touched, and then kills you before you even get into range. If you combine this with an enchanter such as either Yumi or Lulu, she has even more DPS and will just blast you into Narnia. And that's literally all the champion does. It has very high damage, easy scaling, and it's just a champion in solo queue that is really powerful as the game goes on, and games always drag on for a long time. And you'll be happy to have such a champion like Tristana. The next champion is literally for everyone who wants to climb without ego involved. Garen. Many people will say this champion doesn't do too much, but this champion is broken in its very essence. It takes barely any damage, survives everything coming his way, and one-shots most of the carries, if not any carry in the game without breaking a sweat. All he has to do is use his first ability with an auto-attack reset, his ignite and the ultimate ability, and they're sent back into the fountain. So why would you not play this champion? The only answer could be like, it's boring or you just have too much ego. But Garen as a champion is very potent with a very low investment in terms of time. You don't need to be mechanically god tier or anything along those lines. No, you really don't have to. It's a very easy to pilot champion where you can focus on everything else around your champion to have the highest impact possible. Not to mention, he's also very forgiving when it comes to mistakes, because, well, as I told you before, you can't really die when you play him. And for the game, or just the usual gameplay, your most defined move is going to run into the backline and unleash your full combo into the enemy squishy. And then you probably walk it off, because dying is very difficult. But for laning, as I said in earlier videos, it's super simple. Losing lane is borderline impossible on this champion if you understand what you have to do. Use your first attack with your empowered first ability, and then use your third ability to spit it out and you have the wave cleared. With the wave cleared, you're already good to go to either chill back or look for rotation or anything you want. But against most champions, you'll just heavily outtrade them early game thanks to the benefit of your third ability's clearing capabilities. And then if they make a mistake, you're eager to punish, and even if you make a mistake, you'll sustain up thanks to your passive. So whatever you do, you're a good weak side, but you're also a good strong side. Both scenarios are really good for you. That makes this champion so good when it comes to climbing. You are not in need of assistance, which is something rarely any Baron laner or mid laner can say for themselves. Another champion that is heavily underrated when it comes to climbing is Corki. Corki deals magical damage even though being advertised as an AD carry, so he is already quite special or unique on his own. When you think about AP champions, you also always get confronted with the fact that getting magic resist is rather troublesome these days. And since Corki is dealing such a high portion of magical damage, itemizing against him usually stuns your builds brutally and you can't really afford that one. Now, there's another issue when it comes to Corki. Corki can be played in multiple ways. One way is the full crit one, which means he gets to auto-attack a lot, or he can be played as a spellcaster or mage from super high range, just poking you out with abilities. Both work really well, but obviously the crit one has higher potential, higher skill ceiling, and is overall just stronger and more potent, but it also has weaknesses because you have to expose yourself by getting closer. But don't forget, your spells with either build deal a lot of damage because the base damage and the scaling is pretty well in either department. What Corki can do really well is getting the enemy's bone plating procced immediately upon lane start without anything invested by his first ability or his third ability. He can just ignore everything and get it done, and then he can enforce heavier trades because the enemy usually doesn't have an easy time proccing his bone plating, which is an insane advantage during the laning phase. When it comes to objective timers, you want to just make sure to pick up your package not too late and not too early, and then keep it for the objective. Don't just go in for like a suicide play or anything along those lines, just keep it, because then you can be super aggressive while not having to fear anything. For example, you can dance in front of the enemy team like an absolute maniac with the package because you're CC immune once you start casting it. So, let's say you're playing against a Nautilus or a Vi and she ults or he ults onto you, and then all you have to do is package backwards and back into your team, and you'll be fine. And they'll have wasted a valuable cooldown and are out of position because they'll be stuck onto your package if they happen to commit with the Vi ultimate, or just blew a spell which they really needed to get things done, while you can just interact in the fight from very far away. Super neat champion. And that's it for today's video. If you liked the video, leave a like and subscribe to the channel and come back for more tomorrow. See you soon.